We come accustomed to death in this field, but it's never easy when it's one of our own.
Dylan rushed to the call. It didn't matter that it was at the end of a shift. This man was the epitome of what you want in a police officer, and the epitome of what makes this profession noble.
Dylan always wanted to make a difference, both in the world and in the community. By becoming a Nevada police officer was his opportunity to do just that.
His laugh is something I cannot describe. I can hear it right now as I speak. It was an infectious laugh where you hear it from the other room. You couldn't help but laugh and join with him.
To Lisa, thank you for raising an incredible son.
He knows that his last breaths on this earth were in the arms of heroes.
God bless you, Dylan. May you rest in peace.
Friends, family, and the community are remembering the life and sacrifice of Officer Dylan Vakoff. The Arvada police officer was shot and killed while responding to a call last Sunday. First responders and community members lined up along the procession route this morning to say their goodbyes. Officer Vakoff was an Air Force veteran and was proud to serve in the town he grew up in. His fellow officers describe him as the embodiment of what law enforcement should strive to be, selfless and caring. Vakoff was just 27 years old. Thank you for watching Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm Amy Wattis. Arvada officer Dylan Vakoff's impact on his community is clear. He was treasured by his fellow officers and those around him. Today, colleagues and loved ones giving the fallen officer one final send-off, sharing stories about Officer Vakoff's life and who he was as a person. He was described as being thoughtful with a tireless work ethic and having an extraordinary desire to protect people and make things right. The Arvada Police Chief, Link Strait, says Officer Vakoff treated every call as a priority. His girlfriend, who is also an officer in the department, said there are no words to truly capture what he meant to everyone around him.
Our time we had will never be long enough, and I'm not sure how to continue on without you. But I will do it. I will do it for you. I will do it for myself. I will do it for everyone in this room. Because that's what it means to be a brother and sister in blue.
At the end of the service, the pastor read a letter from Officer Vakoff's mother. She said he always chose to see the good in the world, and she hopes everyone walks away from this service asking themselves, what would Dylan do? Officer Vakoff was awarded the Medal of Valor for his actions on his last call for service, and his sacrifice is being felt across the country. Denver 7's Colette Bordelon takes us to Utah, where one woodworker spent his week carving a memorial he hopes brings some comfort to the officer's family.
Behind every mark are years of practice.
These indications right here tell me what I'm gonna do.
For a craft built on precision.
My father was a woodworker, and I guess I wanted to follow in his footsteps.
Call it a family tradition for Nate I, who lives in Utah.
I love taking something special and unique and creating a memory with it.
Constructing his own legacy with every piece of wood. But this project is different.
This badge represents a massive sacrifice to this community.
And at the same time, all too familiar.
I've done hundreds of these now.
What he's been building this week.
This has just become a part of me now.
A replica of 27-year-old Arvada officer Dylan Vakoff's badge, who was killed in the line of duty less than a week ago.
There's a very sobering feeling of what I'm doing and who I'm doing it for.
Using what's become his legacy.
If I can get in there and help just a little bit, it makes a difference.
To honor the legacy of an officer who spent his life serving others.
I hope that the family of Officer Vakoff can hang this somewhere special where they can look at it in 10, 15 years down the road and remember that sacrifice that he made for his community.
Memorializing a moment that could never be forgotten. Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Incredible work. Normally, I presents the badge in person, but he couldn't make it to Colorado this week. Instead, one of his friends made the trip and coordinated with the family to give them the badge before the service.
COPS is an organization that you never planned on becoming a member of, but you do. And it's the best thing that happened to me with my grief.
That's Cheryl Schwartz, and the organization she's talking about is for loved ones who have lost someone in the line of duty. It's a club she never wanted to join, but she's also so thankful it exists for Officer Dylan Vakoff's family now and for her 21 years ago. Schwartz's husband was shot and killed in the line of duty back in 2001 when he was just 25 years old, and their son was just a few weeks old.
Grief is not something you ever get over, you just get used to. And life goes on. And with good people there to support you, it does make a difference.
Schwartz is now a part of the COPS organization, which stands for Concerns of Police Survivors. It's a network that provides friendship and support to families grieving the loss of a loved one in the line of duty. Tonight at 10 on Denver 7, Rob Harris sits down with Schwartz to hear about her journey of grief and what she and her fellow members are already working on for Officer Vakoff's family. In the meantime, you can help Officer Dylan Vakoff's family by donating to the Colorado Fallen Hero Foundation. We have a link to donate on denver7.com. The police shooting death of a Colorado artist is capturing the attention of state and local leaders. Denver 7 Investigates broke this story earlier this week. Christian Glass was shot and killed by a Clear Creek County deputy in June. Glass had called 911 after his car got stuck in an embankment. He wouldn't get out of the car and was shot about an hour after the first officers arrived. At the time, the sheriff's office justified the killing, claiming Glass had tried to stab an officer. The attorney for Glass's family says video of the shooting tells a different story in that police were the aggressors. In a statement today, Governor Polis called Glass's death a tragedy that never should have happened. Clear Creek County commissioners are also taking a rare step, criticizing the sheriff's department their conduct as deeply troubling. We learned this week the deputy who shot Glass has returned to duty despite a CBI investigation. We reached out to the sheriff for comment today and we're told they don't have one. A judge has given the coroner 7 days to release the amended autopsy for Elijah McClain. Denver 7 filed a lawsuit with other media outlets to compel the coroner to release the amended report. Now, we're told the autopsy will be heavily redacted, so we might not know what exactly has changed. McClain died in 2019 after he was put in a carotid hold by Aurora police officers and then injected with a large amount of ketamine by Aurora fire paramedics. An autopsy that year found his cause of death was undetermined. Legal experts say an undetermined death would make it more difficult to convict the former officers and medics charged in McClain's death, making any changes to the cause of death significant to the case. Well, 1 million organ transplants. As of last Friday, that's how many people have gotten a life-saving organ in the U.S. since 1954. According to the Denver-based nonprofit, the Donor Alliance, across Colorado and Wyoming, 234 deceased organ donors provided 642 life-saving organ transplants in 2021, and that number is expected to grow in 2022 and even surpass last year's record-breaking total. I spoke with a local teen who says organ donation changed their life.
I got my heart when I was 12 weeks old.
That was Amon Lujan then. This is Amon Lujan now, a 17-year-old Littleton High School senior who loves life.
I learned that I love theater and I perform regularly in shows. This summer, me and my mom took a trip to Glenwood Springs in Moab.
Places, experiences, things Amon says they wouldn't be here for today if it wasn't for the heart transplant they received those many years ago. Amon was born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, a birth defect that affects normal blood flow through the heart. so they needed a new heart in order to survive.
Everything I've done, everything I am, is a result of one generous gift in the midst of grief.
Which is why Amon says it's so important to become an organ donor, stressing how big of a milestone it is to see the U.S. hit the 1 million mark when it comes to transplants.
That's 1 million people whose lives were saved and changed through organ, eye, and tissue donation. There's not a sports stadium in America that can hold 1 million people.
Cheryl Talley with Denver-based nonprofit Donor Alliance, which serves all of Colorado and most of Wyoming, says Colorado is actually the most generous state when it comes to organ donation.
We lead the nation in donor designation rate, which means that 67% of our population has said yes to organ donation.
Kidney being the most needed organ. Meanwhile, Talley acknowledging the concerns that sometimes come before registering to be an organ donor, stressing that medical professionals will always focus on saving your life first, not someone else's.
Doctors are there to save your lives, and as are the ER and the EMTs.
Amon's gift of life has given them the opportunity to apply for colleges and dream about the future. That gift has inspired them to give back and speak about the importance of organ donation at their school, emphasizing that becoming an organ donor does make a big difference.
If just one person registers to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor, they can save and enhance up to 8 lives.
Now you can become an organ donor a few ways. Head to our website at denver7.com to learn more.
The showers are diminishing. The weekend forecast looks amazing.
CDOT changing course, reversing a decision to widen lanes.
There's a fair amount of just general traffic noise, and we get the pollution from that.
We're looking at the new changes being proposed by the agency instead.
It's important that we're investing in ways that allow those people to walk, bike, and connect to things without always having to drive.